In 1985, a diver went underwater off the coast of Japan and never saw the world the same way again. He was not looking for anything. He was just diving. And then he saw it. A city. Underwater. Massive stone structures, staircases, archways, walls, streets, all of it sitting silently on the ocean floor like it had been waiting thousands of years for someone to find it. Nobody built it there. Nobody put it there. And to this day, nobody knows who made it.
The place is called Yonaguni. It is a tiny island sitting at the very southwestern tip of Japan. So far west, it is actually closer to Taiwan than it is to Tokyo. The waters around Yonaguni are famous for two things: hammerhead sharks and one of the most controversial archaeological discoveries in modern history. In 1985, a diving instructor named Kihachiro Aratake was exploring the underwater cliffs near the island. He was looking for hammerhead sharks. What he found instead was something that made him question everything he thought he knew about human history. Massive stone terraces, perfectly flat surfaces, right angles, steps carved into rock, an enormous stone monument the size of a 5-story building sitting on the ocean floor at a depth of about 25 meters. He came back up. He told people what he saw, and the argument that followed has never stopped.
Here is why this discovery is so important. The Yonaguni Monument, as it came to be known, sits underwater, which means one of two things must be true. Either it was always underwater and nature somehow carved it into those perfect geometric shapes, or it was built on dry land thousands of years ago when the sea level was lower, and then the ocean rose and swallowed it whole. If the second option is true, if humans built this structure before the ocean covered it, then we are talking about a civilization that was constructing massive monuments at least 10,000 years ago. That is before the pyramids, before Stonehenge, before any civilization we officially recognize as advanced. That would rewrite the entire timeline of human history.
Now here is where it gets complicated. The mainstream scientific community is divided right down the middle on this. On one side, you have researchers like Professor Masaaki Kimura of the University of the Ryukyus in Japan. Professor Kimura spent years diving at Yonaguni. He mapped the entire structure. He measured it, he photographed it, he came back again and again. His conclusion was firm. This is not natural. It was made by human hands. He identified what appeared to be a road running along the base of the structure. He found what looked like a carved stone face. He found what appeared to be stone tools left behind near the monument. He found post holes, the kind made when ancient builders drove wooden poles into rock to support structures.
Professor Kimura estimated the monument was built somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 years ago, before the end of the last ice age, when sea levels were low enough for this location to have been above the ocean's surface. On the other side, you have geologists like Dr. Robert Schoch of Boston University, who is famous for his controversial work on the age of the Egyptian Sphinx. Dr. Schoch actually dived at Yonaguni himself, and even he, a researcher who believes human civilization is far older than textbooks say, concluded that the Yonaguni Monument is probably natural. He argued that the flat surfaces and right angles are the result of the way this specific type of sandstone naturally fractures. Mudstone and sandstone often break along straight lines. What looks like a staircase, he argued, is just geology doing what geology does. So here is where we stand. Two serious researchers, both dove the same structure, both spent years studying it, and they reached completely opposite conclusions.
But here is the thing that keeps this mystery alive. Even if the structure itself is natural, and that is still debated, the area around it is not so easy to explain. Divers have found additional structures nearby. Stone circles, what appear to be carved pillars, a formation that some researchers describe as resembling a road or path. And here is the detail that stops people cold. The entire region around Yonaguni sits in an area of the Pacific that was above sea level during the last ice age, roughly between 20,000 and 10,000 years ago. During that period, this entire region was dry land, connected to other land masses, part of a much larger geography that no longer exists. We know humans lived in this part of the world during that period. We know they were intelligent. We know they built things. What we do not know, and what nobody can fully explain, is what those humans were doing in this specific location, and whether the structures sitting on the ocean floor near Yonaguni are the remains of what they left behind.
Now, let us zoom out, because Yonaguni is not alone. Around the world, underwater archaeology has been revealing settlements, structures, and artifacts that push the boundaries of what we thought we knew about ancient civilization. Off the coast of India in the Gulf of Cambit, researchers discovered what appeared to be an entire submerged city in 2001. The Indian government sent teams to investigate. They brought up artifacts. Wood samples were sent for carbon dating. The results came back suggesting the wood was approximately 9,500 years old. That would make the Gulf of Cambit site one of the oldest urban settlements ever found, predating the earliest known cities in Mesopotamia by thousands of years. Off the coast of Cuba in 2001, a team of researchers using sonar equipment detected what appeared to be a series of geometric structures sitting on the ocean floor at a depth of 600 to 700 meters. The structures were large, symmetrical, arranged in patterns that looked deliberate. Researcher Paulina Zalitsky described the site as resembling an urban environment.
The Cuban site has never been fully explored. The depth makes it extremely difficult and expensive to reach, and the mystery remains completely open. Off the coast of Greece, dozens of submerged prehistoric settlements have been found, villages and towns that were above sea level thousands of years ago and are now sitting quietly under the Mediterranean. The pattern is undeniable. Everywhere researchers look beneath the ocean, in areas that were dry land during the last ice age, they find evidence of human presence.
And here is the reason all of this matters more than most people realize. When the last ice age ended, roughly 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, sea levels around the world rose by approximately 120 meters. Think about what that means. Entire coastlines disappeared, islands vanished, land bridges connecting continents went underwater. Vast areas where people had lived for thousands of years were swallowed by the sea in what, on a geological timescale, was an incredibly short period. The coastal areas are exactly where ancient humans preferred to live, close to water, close to food sources, in the most habitable and resource-rich environments on Earth, which means we may have lost an enormous amount of the human story to the ocean. The cities, the settlements, the monuments, the evidence of civilizations that may have been far more advanced than we ever gave them credit for.
All of it sitting in the dark, under hundreds of meters of seawater, waiting to be found. Go back to that diver in 1985. Kihachiro Aratake goes underwater looking for hammerhead sharks. He is not an archaeologist. He is not a historian. He is just a man who loves the ocean. And he swims around a corner, and there it is. Massive, silent, ancient, covered in sea life, perfectly geometric, sitting on the ocean floor like a question nobody has ever been able to answer. He surfaces. He tells the world what he found. And 40 years later, we still do not know what it is.
We do not know who made it. We do not know how old it is. We do not know if it was built by human hands or carved by the sea itself.
What we do know is this. The ocean covers 71% of the surface of the Earth. We have explored less than 20% of it. Whatever is down there, whatever cities, whatever monuments, whatever evidence of civilizations we have never heard of, is still waiting. And the story of humanity may be far older, far bigger, and far stranger than anything written in any history book ever printed.